Hey, everybody, welcome. It's been a little bit of a time off here, but I'm glad to see everybody that's joining us tonight. Glad to see you here this evening. Thank you, everybody, for joining in tonight. Once again, been a little bit of a break. Not so much from Pokemon, just in general on the social media stuff. It's just between T-ball and everything else, it's just really hard to fit everything in. My brother's wedding, there's a lot of things going on in my life. So I did take a little bit of a break. I will 100% admit that. So getting back at it, starting to get back into the rhythm of the social media stuff, getting things going again. And I want to hit it off with a live. I think a live is a really good way to start it out and a really good way to just get a good feel for where things are in the community. Talk to you guys, see where you guys' their feelings are at for the last 2.5 weeks. And once again, things have been changing. Things are always changing when it comes down to the Pokemon hobby in general. And today, kind of want to talk about things that I'm really targeting when it comes down to the last few weeks, what we've been looking at, what we've been doing here on my end of things, my wife and I, and what we've been really focusing on when it comes down to our investment side of things. And the number one thing has been singles. We've been really focusing on singles in general. And on Friday, my video is going to pertain to what we've been actually picking up. I'll kind of break that down, and due to requests for a lot of people, I will be actually showing the stuff that we've been picking up as well. So I'm actually going to put my screen down below here, and I'll actually show what we're actually picking up and what we're looking at. So singles have been really heavy. Sword and Shield, of course, Silver Tempest is still out there. There's opportunities to buy on that. I'm pretty comfortable on most of all that kind of stuff right now. Right now, currently, when it comes down to my position in those particular items, I'm comfortable with, and I think that, with Silver Tempest being so far out at this point in time, I feel like a lot of the bigger investors and the investors that are actually serious about holding things long term and pulling in these products are probably getting into a position where we're fairly comfortable at where we want to be when it comes down to these particular products. And that's exactly what we like to feel and how we want to feel when it comes down to these. Now I'm picking up stuff more for the business side of things. So if I am buying things, it's not so much for an investment as much as, I'm opening up lives and things like that, which are still staying pretty consistent right now. We're seeing some really good things when it comes down to the lives. Live openings still holding pretty consistent overall. The market seems to be holding consistent. People are really enjoying still chasing those Sword and Shield block items, going after the Tina. The Garantina is a really big chase right now currently out there. Charizard V still very, very popular chase when it comes down to Brilliant Stars. Lugia, sometimes you get some people that are really chasing the Lugia, but that's pretty much the three that have been very, very popular right now in the Sword and Shield block. Some of the Scarlet and Violet stuff is now starting to take off. I'm seeing some more movement, especially in Temporal Forces and also in the newest one, Twilight Masquerade. Very good movements. People enjoy opening these particular sets. And when you really look at what's happening right now when it comes to investment, why are those particular sets, doing better, let's say, comparatively to the beginning of the Scarlet and Violet block? And the one thing that is glaringly obvious and stands out to me, in my opinion, and you can let me know in the chat if you feel differently or in the comments if you feel differently, is the pull rates. The pull rates have been the big thing that's changed. Pull rates in general have become more difficult. We're starting to see those pull rates crossing 850 on some of the secret rares again. And when the secret rares become more difficult to pull, it creates more of that chase, which creates more of that endorphin rush for people that are gambling, or, and I don't want to call it gambling, but it really is. People are really gambling to try and grab those, big chases, those big items, these big cards that people are wanting. And it's creating that little bit of a rise when it comes down to the overall Scarlet and Violet chase, which is great to see. Finally, we're seeing some movement in that Scarlet and Violet block, and that's a great thing to see when it comes down to potential investments in Scarlet and Violet. Personally, I've just grabbed my cases of each one of these sets, and realistically, I haven't really pushed very hard into purchasing more of those particular items. Now, if I was coming into the hobby right now, there's some really good price points for those early Scarlet and Violet sets in particular, but also some of the Temporal Forces and Twilight Masquerade right now really have some opportunities. Pokemon 151, big one. I just picked up a case again. Now I picked them up at $64. Once again, 68, 64. There's some of them even now going for 62. So the pricing has come down on Pokemon 151. Another area that I've been really targeting over the last week, and I should be getting another case of Pokemon 151 in-house here very soon. I think it should be here, I want to say it was Friday. So I'll have another case. So I'll have two cases of Pokemon 151 which is another one of those investments that I've been really looking at and trying to really grow on and try and get some more Japanese product in here as well, because the Japanese market is strong. It's got some really good potential and some really good future opportunities when it comes down to these particular sets. In general, English Scarlet and Violet not really pushing very hard. I've been watching, picking and choosing. You know, if you find something that's a deal, sometimes you'll see some place have a sale on a particular booster box. We'll drop it down sub 80, you know, somewhere in the 80s, sub 90 in that range, and then it's a good pickup. Then I'll pick them up. But I've been very selective when it comes down to the Scarlet and Violet block currently. I feel that there's time. There's no rush. You're not feeling that pressure that if I don't buy right now that I'm going to miss out on these particular items. You have that feeling that everything's going to continue to just be what it is for a little bit. And, you know, maybe it'll be another rarity. We'll see that rarity pop, which I'm surprised we still haven't seen. That rarity might pop off, and then that might be the driving factor that'll push, you know, Scarlet and Violet to finally see some movement. Pokemon English Scarlet and Violet 151 doing rather well. We're seeing some spikes on some cards. Some cards are kind of falling a little bit, but in general, still seeing some good performance and excitement out of that Pokemon 151. Scarlet and Violet 151 in the English version is still one of the most favorite sets to be opening, even on live streams. People do enjoy it. People are still here specifically for that set, and that's the only reason they're here. That's the only reason that they came into the hobby and are currently in the hobby, is because they're after that 151 set, whether it's Japanese or English, which is really interesting. Some of them have branched out, but I still know a good portion of them have not. They've just come for that. They're here for that set, and that's all that they're interested in. They come and they buy and they stay in that set. They watch, but they really don't engage in anything else, which is, you know, it is what it is. It's great to see a set that's got that availability. But you always hope that that availability will push further, and that Pokemon, you know, that Pokemon market will see some growth and these individuals moving in a different direction. And it will happen. I think eventually some of them will break out and they'll see another set that they enjoy. They'll see something that they think is really good, and they will jump on that particular set as well. So I think it's just a matter of time. It's just going to take a little bit of persuasion. It's going to take the right set, the right circumstances, and I think that we could see another modest gain of individuals in that Pokemon 151 and Scarlet and Violet 151 branching out and finally moving forward. New evolution might do it. You know, there could be a lot of factors that might actually push that over the edge and finally do it. And it'll be interesting to see what will actually cause that. But overall, what I've been really focusing on in the last, 2.5 weeks have really been singles. So, I mean, I've been picking up like these, a lot of times the alternate arts. I'll find these alternate arts on claim sales. And I mean, another one that I've been picking up quite a few of just because I do enjoy them and I think there's good futuristically are like these particular cards. These evolution cards, really, really good. Been targeting evolution alternate arts. So I've picked up a couple Espeons, a couple Umbreon Vs, that kind of stuff at some really good pricing. TCG market value. And that's exactly where I'm trying to pick them up, is if I can find them at that sub market value, a TCG player, at least it gives me that built-in boost. And we've been seeing a lot of alternate arts kind of retracting now. I don't know if people have been watching the market very closely. It was something that I discussed, is that when you start seeing those graphs do that straight up, graph, typically we do see a retrace at some point in time. I feel we're seeing that on some of the items. Not all alternate arts have been doing it. Let's just be 100% clear. We've been seeing it on quite a few. There are still some that are continuing to go up. The Charizard V, Lugia V, those kind, the Tina, the Umbreon V, VMAX are all doing really well, going straight up. Have not had any retract at this point in time, but a lot of the sub-alternate arts, even like the Espeon, the Gengar VMAX, all those kind of have had a little bit of a retrace. Now, I'm not saying it's a huge retrace, but this is the opportunity you should be watching with them going down a little bit to potentially give you that opportunity to get into it a little bit sooner. So, I guess I should have asked. Hopefully the audio is working. It shows it's working. So, but overall, I just wanted to just kind of get caught up when it came down to where we're at in the market, what I'm actually been working on, because I know I haven't been here for the last week and 2.5 weeks, which is all on me. I did my last live, and I had family over, and we had the wedding, and then I got busy on Little League. I've been coaching, so I've been pretty much coaching the one team on my own because my assistant coach has left. So I'm all by myself on the one, so I've kind of had to take the responsibility on of getting that done. And we're getting to the end of June. We have, 2 more games coming up. We got one on Wednesday and we got one on Monday next week, and then I'll be done with my coaching, and then I just help on A team. But if I need to take off and do work, then I can just take off on that one. I don't need to be there necessarily, but I do enjoy it. So my kid plays. I got all 3 of my kids playing in Little League in 2 different teams, so it's just fun to have the time to spend with them. It's actually been kind of nice to just relax and have some fun with friends and family, do my Pokemon stuff, and just take a little bit of a breather, get reallocated to what I want to do. There's some new things that I'm going to be working on here in the channel when it comes down to the investment side, and also some of the things that I think are important when it comes down to what you should be looking at, or information that you're looking at when it comes down to your investments per se, and also when you're buying particular products. 'Cause I notice there's kind of a hole in the market when it comes down to finding out what's inside of products. Unless you want to go watch rippers and that kind of stuff, you can kind of choose and pick and choose through that kind of stuff. But sometimes it's just nice to have the time and take the time to actually break down things that are currently coming in the market. Because, for example, one of the things that's on my desk is like this from Dollar General, and I'm really curious to know what packs are inside of it this time, because overall this tin has been reprinted or been restocked probably 12 times, and every time it's something different. So it's kind of nice to find out what's in this particular generation. And is it something that we want? Is there an Evolving Skies? Is there Lost Origins? Is there Brilliant Stars or even Fusion Strike inside of this tin? That's the real question that I always have when it comes down to these products. And sometimes when it comes down to this current time, what is in this on this release of this new drop of these particular products? So it's going to be kind of fun to start doing that. And then I'm also, in doing that, I'm actually having fun. I'm sending my wife out. So the one that I'm going to be doing here, I actually sent my wife out with my credit card and told her to go buy a random Pokemon product for me to open. So it's just kind of a new thing. She knows nothing about Pokemon. She's not in the Pokemon. She really has very little interest. The kids and I do. She couldn't tell you the name of the original 151. She has no idea which Pokemon. The only one that I know she even has any idea about is Ninetales. But I sent her out and she just randomly grabbed a tin. So another one of those things that I'm going to just continue to do that. I think that that's a real fun way just to have some fun. Seeing what some individuals that aren't necessarily deep into the hobby, such as myself, that are really just focused on what's in these products, would be interested in grabbing. What's catching their eye? Someone that's not necessarily deep into it and looking at the internal parts of it, but just what's flashy, what's grabbing their eye, what's grabbing their attention, and what would they buy if they were rocking down the shelves of, Walmart or Walgreens or Farm Fleet, wherever they're buying the products. What would they grab? What would be their selection when it comes down to these particular products? I think it's a little cool experiment. We're going to continue to do that so I can actually multifacet that part of it. I'm going to put that on TikTok, and I'm also going to put that on here as just kind of like a short. I mean, you're going to try to do shorter. That might be like a minute and a half, 2-minute videos. So I'm kind of working on that, a little bit more editing on that as well, just to kind of clean things up. Focus going to stay primarily the same still, even after 2.5 weeks. I really thought about it, and I still want to stay with the investing side. I enjoy it. I enjoy the analytics side of things, and I like talking about what's happening in the markets and what products I think will do really well, and overall just to see how they perform long term. You can see behind me, over my shoulder, I'm just continually adding on to these shelves, and it continues to build up with product, which is just testament to me continually bringing things in and what I'm going after. I'm not even necessarily just going after, Pokemon as much anymore either, because I'm actually starting to branch out into other TCGs just for the sales side of things as well. But I mean, just like this. I mean, we've been moving into a little bit of Dragon Ball Z, with Weiss Schwartz. We've got some of that in here now too as well. We've been pulling out different areas when it comes down to the actual sales side of things. So a lot of this stuff here is probably for sale. I got Pokemon 151 and Mask Change. Those are more for sale, and we're actually using that for the TikTok sales side of things in the shop. But overall, still doing well. Sales have continued to go up. It continues to go up as long as I'm active in it. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing as YouTube. So if you're a YouTube creator, you learn really quick that if you're active in YouTube and you continue to do these lives and continue to post things and be involved, whether sometimes it's good or bad, they continue to perform really well, and your YouTube channel can do fairly well overall. It's the same thing with TikTok, same thing with Instagram. I mean, the algorithms want to see activity, and when they start seeing loss of activity, then it definitely starts to hurt the overall performance of the channel, which is why I've seen this channel's views completely drop out, and of course the subscriptions have kind of stalled again. So overall, definitely something that I'm going to continue to work on is still going to be in the investment side of things. We're going to be doing a video on Friday where I'm going to really focus in on like these cards. I've got a whole stack of cards that I've been picking up. So, and this is just like the latest version of them. So like this is all my last purchase of singles that just came in. So we'll kind of go through that and take a look at that in depth of what I'm actually purchasing, because I know a lot of people, they kind of interesting. It's always interesting to me that people kind of question just because I don't put, and I'd always say it's because I don't like how cluttered it makes the videos look when I'm sitting here, you know, like this. I'm picking up a product and I'm going, buy this, and I'm trying to fumble around with it, and when I could just put a, you know, a nice graphic next to me and break it down. I get it. It makes it look like I'm not necessarily buying it, and I am purchasing all the products that I am talking to you about, but I definitely think that there's something that should be done sometimes is just to show, yeah, I am actually buying these singles. Singles are really simple. I can lay them out, I can pull them out, and I can show you what we're actually purchasing right now. And it's not as cluttery as like big products and things like that. But definitely something I want to continue to work on and continue to move forward on. I've been watching some of the lives. I've been keeping up on the lives and what's been going on with other channels. It's kind of nice just playing it in the background when I'm working on stuff or spending time driving from one job to another. I always catch up on the lives even the next day. So like Pokemon knowledge and all that, I am continuing to be involved and continue to listen, get ideas, and hear what their thought processes are. We do have PokeChef coming onto the channel too on the 25th. So next Monday we will be having PokeChef coming in. He will be joining us on the channel, which will be a nice little change. I haven't had PokeChef on here. He'll be doing our Choose Your Path, where we'll be going over what he does and where his success has been in the Pokemon TCG. Another very interesting individual. I've had some conversations, you know, on side conversations with him, and it'd be really nice to bring him onto the channel and have that discussion. We're going to continue to try and push that Choose Your Path. I want to kind of go with the live version like we've been doing, where we have the discussions that we've been having, and I would like to continue to build on that a little bit more. I think it's a really good asset for individuals new to the hobby and old to maybe get a direction on something that was successful for someone else. Sometimes the success that we have is always based on some of the information we get from other people, and we can become more and more successful over time and really join these things together to become more successful in yourself. Or if, you know, my always biggest thing is that even when I hire someone or when we have employees and stuff like that, sometimes I want them to be more successful than me, because they can take my knowledge and someone else's knowledge and they can build a better way of doing something. Same thing with my career. I always use my career as a perfect example of it when you're talking about even HVAC, and I've got my brother and myself. I worked with all the old timers. So a lot of times I had people that were 30, 40 years older than me that I was working with, and I've taken bits and pieces of what they've done that was successful, and I've created my own style. So when it comes down to my career and how I do things, it's all my own style. And that's exactly the same way that we see things with Pokemon, with any kind of successful hobby or anything that you're successful in. A lot of times you start to merge multiple techniques together, and by seeing them, you can definitely have that. I also got to get iFOMO on here as well. I was going to contact you, iFOMO, and actually get a time set up for you as well, because I'm trying to get everybody on here and start working through that. Now that we're getting out of Little League, I can actually have the time availability to be able to know that I can be here and be here on time in a timely fashion in order to have these lives and sit down and have these discussions. So iFOMO is another one that is on my list to get on here as soon as possible. So once again, I will be getting a hold of you, iFOMO. Greatly appreciated to have you join me as well. Hear your story and hear where you're going. I know that you and I have talked in Instagram, and you've got some really cool discussions for where you've been and where you're going currently, even right now. So it'd be really nice to bring that into the airwaves as well. So once again, more information, more things that people can learn, and let's move on. So overall, guys, that's what I really want to talk about. I mean, realistically, market-wise, still, everything's looking really good. Sales are still continuing to move up. Even with the macro economy giving concerns, people getting tighter budgets, it seems like people are giving up on more of the trips and actually doing more buying stuff. It seems like sales are still staying pretty consistent. So that's a good thing. It overall means that we're seeing some really good, consistent growth, and overall still seeing new people in the hobby, which is great. It's great to see new people coming in, new faces, new individuals that can bring new revenue potentially. Not just I'm saying that they're money pots, but it brings new revenue, it brings new life, it brings new growth, and it brings new ideas into the hobby, and we can continue to see that growth and that change as time moves on. So great to see. Singles, definitely, Sword and Shield singles are definitely like my number one target right now. I've kind of moved off of sealed product currently, except for if I get some really good deals, some really good pricing, then yes, I will jump in and purchase those things, of course. 151 being one of the sealed products from Japanese that I'm really focusing on, and kind of been chasing that in a downward spiral right now. And I am considering buying another third case of Pokemon 151, just because I do overall think that the longevity of this set is there. The excitement and the overall potential is in this particular set, and I don't mind buying a case at 68, buying another case at 64, and then if this thing drops down to like 61, 62, I'm still considering buying another case, because I do think that there's some really good value overall. 5-10 years down the road, looking at the trends, the excitement behind this particular set, what it offers, who would be interested in this, and who could potentially be your buying group behind this particular product, is definitely going to be something that's going to be there. And I think that there's some really good safety nets and some really good opportunities in Pokemon 151. So that's realistically the number one sealed product item that I'm really focusing on when I can get it at good pricing. I have been. Otherwise, singles, definitely going after those Evolving Sky singles, those alternate arts, and kind of going through the Sword and Shield block and really nitpicking and finding some really good pricing and really driving to try and get those particular cards in hand, because I think overall, once again, there's some really good value, some really good hype and FOMO, and futuristically there will be continued growth and hype on these particular cards. I don't see the hype dying on these cards. I see there being a good buying group futuristically for these alternate arts. Unless Pokemon finds something that's just way better than an alternate art, I just see alternate arts holding that value, especially even if you had to hold them for 10 years to like my son's age, gets into their 20s where they have expendable money. Those would be the items that they remember opening when they were 12, between 8 and 12. When they get to 18 to 25, they're definitely going to be the individuals looking at buying those cards again, because they're going to want them for their collections, just like we did going back to WotC. So you're looking at potentially the same scenario, which to me gives me a little bit more comfort in purchasing those. One other thing that I was watching, Pokemart USA and Alex from Nostalgianomics live today, and they had a good discussion when it came down to, when we sit here and talk about Pokemon business and how we're doing in business, how we tend to, how'd they put it? We always tend to talk about how great we are at making money, and we don't talk about all the side work that's involved in it. I know I've talked about that before on this channel, that it's not all sunshine and roses when it comes down to running any kind of business, and when it comes down to investment, and we don't talk about the amount of time that some of us as individuals put into this hobby. And that's something that I want to kind of work with PokeChef on, and also iFOMO, is talking about the number of hours that we actually spend that we don't really talk about. Realistically, I know on Choose Your Path I've tried to bring it up and really talk about how many hours we work, to how much income we make, to all the kind of the hidden things that are into it. And I know, like Jake at Pokenomics, when he was on here, and Dan at Catch 'em All Collectibles, even Mason, had talked about how many hours, if we could quantify all the hours, we really aren't making any money. But we do enjoy it enough to where we do spend it. And I think that that's a really important factor that people need to really think about when it comes down to when they're doing this. And when you're listening to different channels talk about the success in the Pokemon TCG, I think a lot of individuals need to realize that success is realistically coming from a lot of work. It is a lot of work. There's a lot of side work that we're not discussing. So even for the business side, we don't talk about how many hours we spend sorting bulk. We don't talk about how many hours we sit here and try and figure these kind of things out, and really put together all these packages, and trying to make sure that we're balancing our books at the end of the year, and then trying to be sure that we're organizing in a way that's everything's found, that we can find it when we're looking for it. And we're also not talking about how many hours we're just sitting up there, and I'm talking to my wife about, maybe we need to look at a different system because I'm falling short here. And you're always trying to find ways to really reevaluate yourself, which are things that you don't ever account in for time either. The reevaluation, the rediscussion, the talking to someone else about, well, this system works okay, but I want to be more efficient. How can I be more efficient? And you're always kind of planning these things out, and then maybe do trials, and then you throw that trial away, and then you do this, and okay, this is working great, but this worked better, and I'm doing this now. There's always those things, and that's the factors that it's really hard to quantify that when it comes down to in putting it in a YouTube time frame, because once again, you're limited to the amount of time that I can sit here and talk, especially on a video style, YouTube video. Live, I can go a little bit longer. I can rant like this, and we have that opportunities to do that, and we can discuss this a little bit further in depth, especially when people have questions in the comments. But in general, when we're talking about, how we got to the conclusion that, this particular box, like me with Evolving Skies, how did I come to the conclusion that Evolving Skies is going to be a big set, and that I should go buy 10 booster cases of it and spend $6,000 of my money in order to be able to get that particular product in hand? And is that value there? And, what went into that process? You don't realize that in order for me to do that process, it took me hours and hours of time of dissecting the set, going through, doing the analytics, going, what's going to be popular in the set? Is evolution strong enough to see an outcome for this? How many times could Pokemon reprint, and doubt and changing and thinking? And you can't quantify that. Realistically, some of it is just shoot from the hip. When you're talking that kind of money, then you're not really shooting from the hip anymore. You're just making the best decisions and taking a lot of time sometimes to do it. And Evolving Skies didn't give us a lot of time to buy stuff at $99 a booster box. You realistically had to pull that trigger really quickly. So, and a lot of discussion and a long night of me thinking and pondering and really trying to quantify why I think that this would be successful. And yes, it worked out. And because, once again, you're spending all that time thinking about it. If anybody's telling you that they're just strictly going from the hip, they're being very dangerous. But if you're actually sitting there trying to justify and work through and go through the pros and cons, and your pros start to outweigh your cons, and then you start really analyzing these particular products, that's where you're going to see the success in this hobby. And knowing how to do that properly and spending the time to do it is really something that's impossible to quantify and really do. Unless you could get inside of, a lot of our brains, it's very, very difficult to do that. So I will say, when it comes down to the profitability of the Pokemon TCG, there is a lot of hours that are spent, a lot of hours. And it's not just Pokemon, it's my other businesses too. Whether it's my HVAC business or my farm, there are a lot of hours that are absolutely free. Being a business owner is fantastic, and I love being a business owner. I love being my own boss. I couldn't work for anybody else any longer. I've always said that I can work for, and since we're this far into the video, I can say it. I can't work for any other asshole but this asshole, and that's exactly the way that I feel about it. I mean, I have a hard time. I would have a hard time going to work for someone. Could I do it? Yes, of course I could. I would get through it, and I would be just managing, but I'd be always plotting my escape again, just as any individual I think that's been a business owner would do, is if they enjoy it and then it's something they want to do, they will definitely try and find a way to do it again. So that's just my personal take is that, I mean, for me to have my freedoms and my availabilities to do it and be able to do those kind of things, it's definitely worth it in myself to spend the time that I have to do those things, whether it's me mentally in my own, sitting on the couch at night, just relaxing or thinking about things or talking to my wife about things and continually trying to find those proper channels and ways of doing things. Definitely the better way of doing it and continuing to grow. Trial and error, very important. Trying some things safely, purchasing sometimes or changing things or trying to be more efficient and taking those moments to really dial things in can be worth it and have good value. But you have to be able to take the amount of energy and money that you put into those particular items before you go large scale. Sometimes taking a couple shots at some smaller things that are more secure and less risk are definitely going to give you a feel for how you can properly do that in the future. So definitely some good words of advice. There's going to be a lot of times that if you're doing this stuff and if you're going into the business side of things, that you're going to learn really quickly is that you're going to spend a lot more time than you can quantify just thinking sometimes coming up with ideas, or if you have a partner or a significant other, sometimes throwing ideas off of them. My wife, knowing nothing about Pokemon, still has a semi-business mind, and she's also business minded, so it's really good to be able to throw ideas off of those individuals in order to get some good feels and get some good ideas to maybe I shouldn't do that, or that will work, and you're kind of helping me out, kind of showing me the way that this will work. So definitely something to consider, and the same thing with the hobby. If you're looking at investing, sometimes start small, take the shot at one booster box, give it a little bit of time. Got nothing but time. Especially in a hobby collection or a hobby investment, you can buy a case of a booster box. You can buy a single booster box. Let it ride for 6 months and see how your gut instinct was. Was my gut instinct correct? Did I actually nail this product? Because I think in sometimes, like I like to do, I'm going to buy this booster box because, or let's just say I'll pull a card here real quick. So I'm going to pull, this card. Okay, I'm going to buy, this alternate art because I feel that in 6 months, this alternate art will go up by 10-15%. It's a safe margin. It's an inexpensive card. As you can see, I bought this from a claim sale for $10. So it's a relatively inexpensive move. You could do maybe 2-3 of them and try it out and see how well that performs. And do you actually see what your thought process is? Is it actually panning out? And is this actually what's working? And that's the important thing when it comes down to this whole hobby and the investment side of things is do a little bit of trial, get your feet wet, make a few steps, take those few steps. If they work, continue to get a little bigger, try it again, and do a little bit of trial and error and continue to grow. So, all right, guys, I'm done ranting. I went a little bit long this time, which is just fine. Sometimes I don't get this long, but this time you get a long one tonight as I'm coming back. So a lot of things on my head. Good to get them out live. I'm going to go down the guest list here and see who's been in the chat. So we've got Garen. Thank you so much for dropping in. Glad to see you. Yes, it has been a little bit of time. I haven't seen Northwoods in a while. Hello. And now you are on. Glad to see all the rain didn't wash you away. Nope, it did not wash us away. We do have plenty of it, though. I am sick of rain. I am tired of water. I have water. My sump pump in my drain field, or for my drain tile, is just constantly running. I can hear it just running continuously, so it can stop at any point in time, and I'd be absolutely happy if it would just quit raining for just a little bit. iPhone, as always, thank you so much for being in here. My number one mod, glad to have you here. And as I said, I got to get a hold of you on Instagram. I'm going to set up a time with you also to bring you on live, so it'd be really nice to have iPhomo on here as well. So thank you so much. Happy Father's Day. Thank you so much, iPhomo. Happy Father's Day as well. If you have kids, I don't know if you do or not, to be honest with you. So happy belated Father's Day too for you if you do. Pokenufo exclusive. Hello. How are you doing this evening? Hopefully you've had a good couple weeks. June is flying by quick. Let me see who else is in here. It doesn't even have a. Yeah, it just a profile picture. So I can't see if there's anything there or not. So nothing. Welcome in, nothing. So. Yes, welcome in, nothing. So thank you so much. I know it might be a little bit, toned down tonight. I wasn't expecting a ton of viewers just because of the fact that I have been gone for the last week and a half. So, like I said, just took a little bit of breather. I actually enjoyed the time with the family, and I just kind of went off on a green profile. I like that one. Green profile pick, dude. 100%. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Now I'm going to go down to chat like I always do. Like I said, I'll kind of answer some of the questions that come up. Modern Intel XY is in the bubble again. Yep. I could actually see that. I think a lot of it's really, really going up, and I could see some retraction on some of this. Let's see. Thank you so much for putting up the merch, too. Thank you, iFOMO. Let the moths in. Yeah, the moths can come in. I know you're in here all the time. I was laughing because you've said comments on one other video too, and I think I just you don't have a name, which is it's fine. It's just kind of funny. Green profile, dude. I think that was a good way of putting it. So welcome in. It's glad to see you here. Super excited. I have no YouTube channel, and I spend almost all my hours on it. And I do too. Let's be 100% honest. When I'm doing work, when I'm doing bids and things like that, I am listening to like iFOMO, and I'm listening to all of, or not iFOMO, I'm listening to Pokemon Knowledge. I'm listening to, Dan at Catch 'em All Collectibles. I'm listening to Mason, with the whole thing now with him kicking people out of the TCG Direct program. I thought that was a very interesting thing because I do have a lot of sales on TCG, and that was one of the considerations that I said this year was really in trying to be in the cards this year was we were considering going into the TCG Direct program. So another really interesting factor is the fact that, they're kicking people out of it for when TCG Player gets the cards, they check them out to verify that they are near mint, lightly played, whatever condition that you're putting them in, and they're getting kicked back. And if they get too high of a kickback rate, then they are kicking them out of TCG Direct program, so TCG Player Direct program. And that was a very interesting video that I just caught here recently as well from Mason. So it was really interesting to hear these kind of things occurring. The fact that they aren't giving them warnings and they're just kicking them out is very, very interesting. That there was no warning system. There was no, hey, just for you to know, we're tightening down this this policy, and you have to maintain no more than, what Mason say, it was like 5% or 10%. You had to be within a 5% margin, and it's like if you were at 5%, you got a warning, and if you were at like 10%, so if TCG Player felt that these cards weren't near mint, then they would kick you out. And that was a very interesting factor on that factor as well. It was a very interesting information on that. Really good to know with me considering the direct program and something that I've been kind of setting up to definitely be ready to do. And to me, I was comfortable, and that was the next kind of step that I was gonna make for my bulk program, was to get into that TCG Player Direct program. So yeah, that was going to be something that was definitely sitting there, and now it's kind of interesting. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how that all pans out. At least they didn't make it like a permanent ban. It just sounds like it was a you're out of the program, you can reapply, and then we can start again on those individuals. But it was just kind of interesting the way that all worked out. It's a lot of work, worth it. 100 it is 100%. Trial and error is very important. Glad I have a day job that is only 2 days a week because Pokemon takes all my time. Yeah, and it will. I mean, Pokemon, literally, this hobby can be as big or as small as you want it, which is the interesting thing, is that a lot of times, even on the Pokemon business side, it's really interesting because people can do this with 2 days, 2 hours, 3 hours a week. You could actually do this. The harder part about it is just getting set up. Once you're set up, I do TikTok realistically 3 days a week for 2 hours a night, and that generates roughly $500 to $700 on average in sales those nights. So there is those opportunities in there to do that, along with TCG Player. TCG Player is always generating usually around $400 to $700 a month as well. So there's always these things that are generating that really just take time to. My time on TCG Player is sorting originally and then continuing to sort as time goes on, and also making sure my inventory is correct while making sure the shipments are out. So there's a little bit of time on the backside of TCG Player, but once again, it can be side work, and I don't have to quit my day job in order to run TCG Player currently. So yes, there are definitely some good opportunities to go as big or small as you want when it comes down to this particular hobby in the business side of things or in the investment side. You can try and be a whale and hold huge positions in particular products, or you could just be a guy that buys a couple booster boxes and sees how it rolls. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars in this hobby to be in the investing side of things. You don't have to spend millions of dollars to be in the singles collecting part of it. You don't have to spend millions of dollars to start a business in the Pokemon TCG. Realistically, there are a lot of opportunities, all spectrums of the whole field of where you can actually do things and how you can actually lay things out. So, but yeah, that's a very good point. And yeah, if you got 2 days a week, yeah, you could fill every day. I could fill every day, every waking moment that I have available. I could definitely fill it with Pokemon if I wanted to. It would take very little for me to do that. I like the way Java Akuma says it. If you want to make money very, very slowly, this is the hobby for you. Exactly. It's just slowly over time. You just continually make money. It's a really, really, really good point, and he said it perfectly on that. It's a great hobby where if you want to make money fast, you can make money fast. If you want to make money slow, you can make money slow. If you, it just depends on how much time and energy you put into it, and that's exactly where you could be profitable or just make a little side money. You can make it a business if you want to put the time and energy into it. No pics, no kids. Okay, I didn't think so. I didn't see, talking to you, there was no speaking mention of kids. So, but I always double check. So happy Father's Day to anybody that's on here that does have kids. So happy Father's Day to you guys as well. A little belated here being live today, but congratulations on having a little bit of a holiday to yourself. Hopefully you had some time with it off if you did. TCG player is strict. Yes, they're becoming more and more strict as time goes on. That's for sure. I just started selling last month. I think I just hit 5K. My investment in was gross, so it's nice to have some liquidity. People are saying that there isn't, but there is. There is. Actually, my bulk sales still are pretty consistent, and they do make up still a good portion of it. TikTok makes up a lot more now just because, but the difference is that once again, you're talking. Oh, okay, so there's two ways to look at this. TCG player is a very good passive income. Really, you have a small portion of very active where you're sorting, organizing, and getting, things set up. Maybe even if you want to count the time for shipping, printing labels, whatever you're doing there. There's this much part, and then a majority of it is passive. Once you get through that sorting process, you get that organization down, and you get the shipping all ready to go, and you get a system down for shipping, TCG player becomes a very passive income style business, while TikTok is more of an active sales. Now, I have good sales on the passive side of TikTok as well, but those sales usually come on the heels of being active. So I have to be active on TikTok with either commercials or posting videos or doing things live in order to be able to have an income. And that's where you're spending that more time and being more of an active business, but in return, you're getting a little bit more back from it. So you're getting a little bit more back for that extra money. So when you talk about being active in your business and having that activity level and spending more time, actually time and energy into TikTok, the returns are better than TCG player where it's less active, more passive. And once again, TCG player can be, if you're constantly moving bulk and continually active on it, you can also grow that as well. The more active you are in any of these, the more opportunities, the more growth that bubble has to continue to expand and bring things in. So, good job, bud. Anyone needs a seller's experience? Yes, and it's always good to build seller's experience before you need it. I've talked about that several times. The hardest step is selling something. Selling something is always the hardest step. Once you start selling stuff, you realize it isn't too bad, and you can really start to build off of that. The other part is selling things continually is very, very good because you can get that rating. So you can start rating yourself and getting back feedback and start building these accounts to show that you're a credible individual. Kind of like we talk about eBay. Are you more likely to spend top dollar on a gold star 10,000 salesperson or top dollar on a 1 to 2 person reviewed site that has no history behind it? So if you try and start these things up the day you want to start making money back, the chances are is that it's going to be very, very difficult to impossible to be able to capitalize on the most that you can on these particular products. You're always going to have to undersell in order to get sales, at least for a long period of time, in order to be able to get that credibility that people are looking for when it comes to purchasing, especially in singles and that kind of stuff. Specifically, it definitely is something that is something to be worried about, when you need to sell things. If you're not in it, and you're in it for a long haul, still building up that credibility is very important. Let's see here. Welcome in, Crypto Zero. Hi. Hi, what's your favorite personal card? Flareon Gold Star. That's my favorite one. I actually purchased one, but it isn't grading quality. It's just a raw card. So I need to get a PSA 10 version, but I really don't want to spend the money on it right now. It's a lot of money to get one of them particular cards. But it's definitely one of those gold cards that I definitely want to get, and I probably should stop sleeping on it because it's only going to go up in price. But yeah, Flareon Gold Star. I'm a Flareon fan, so a lot of the Flareons are definitely there. Let's see. It's rough. I'm bummed that someone didn't buy my 4 sequential Crown Zenith PSA 10 Mewtwo's. Huh. See, I've been finding that really interesting because I have the two. I thought sequential would really sell better personally, and it really doesn't seem to make any difference on the sales. So I have tried that, and I'm kind of with you because I have like that Zamazenta, Zacian V, Galarian Gallery in sequential PSA 10, so it's like a set of the two. Doesn't seem to really get any more value to it. It really doesn't seem to help very much. I thought that was kind of interesting myself too, that sequential really doesn't seem to assist in the sales. Same thing has happened to me with certain One Piece cards. Yeah. I literally spent all my money on Pokemon after my parents died last year. All of it. No change for soda. I don't know why I did it, but I did it and it's working. Well, that's great, and I'm sorry for your loss. But yeah, I mean, if you can, definitely. I mean, there is the opportunity and it will work. Currently, the market is still very, very strong for that, and still very, very strong to have growth. So if you have some money and you stick it into Pokemon for right now, it's definitely working in a lot of people's favor. It's been very successful, and we've continued to see growth, which is great. It's awesome to see the continued growth when it comes down to this hobby for sure. So yeah, I mean, I could see it absolutely working. If I were to have even more money, and if I were to take more money out of my retirement, I could definitely buy some things and really, really grow pretty heavily, even in the TikTok side of things. I always keep my inventory at a minimum, so I really don't have a lot of that stuff. But yeah, it's just one of those things that if you have a little bit more money, you can really build up. Single investments, eBay, you can really stock an eBay account. Things like that could really, really be there if you were to put a lot of money into it, which is an interesting thing that sometimes a lot of money in the right spots will work fairly well. I'm still struggling. So I'm still struggling with that. I took down a Crown Zenith Arceus because I wanted it more than 200, even though I need the 200. No. Yeah, I mean, that if you need to wait. Is it a graded Arceus? Thank you, by the way. iFOMO, are you selling the cards raw? You have thought about grading them? I only sell graded and unopened. I hit 70%, 73% at first PSA subs, so I think I'm better than... Yeah, that's actually really good. I mean, very smart. You know, selling ungraded and the unopened stuff is definitely a great way to do it. Graded seems to do very well. Optimizing, especially taking the time and getting those cards graded in that PSA 10 is definitely a big factor. And overall, you can really optimize and really maximize your overall income when it comes down to it. I mean, there's still a good market for graded cards. I actually thought we would see more of a retrace in graded cards, but let's be 100% honest, the whole grading issues have kind of settled down a little bit now here later in the year. The beginning of the year, man, the grading issues that were coming out between PSA issues and CGC issues and, you know, these damage issues and, you know, like we just talked about Java Akuma with his damage cards and them saying he has to remove the videos. He would have to remove the videos off of his account talking bad about PSA. To me, is just not good policy in order to get the insurance, and that's something that came up to me too, that I read that and I didn't take it either, because they did damage my Lugia V, which should have been a 10, and it came back an 8 because it had that damage mark on it. We'll find out that's what everybody was getting on that damage mark it was getting coming up on everybody. So it's definitely a factor, and you know, they've kind of straightened that out. We haven't been hearing any issues from PSA currently. I haven't heard very much from CGC. CGC seems to be trucking along pretty quietly at this point in time, which is good. I mean, overall, it means maybe things are settling down for CGC. It doesn't mean I'm going to go and use CGC. It just means that they're settling down, and maybe now the grading market will finally find a very consistent market when it comes down to the grading side. A little bit less fear factor. People start hearing about all these issues and all these problems, and it definitely can be a slight fear factor. And as we work through that and everything continues to move up, then we're in good shape. So I FOMO just put, it's freaking me out that XY is 10 years old. Sooner or later, they will grade them like vintage. Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy to think? Think about all of us OGs that actually were opening up base set and throwing them at pavement and not even realizing that they would be worth money. You don't know how many Charizards I've seen hit pavement, and it just, just sit there, look back now, and hindsight's always 2020. And it's like, my God, how much money we threw at pavement and didn't even phase us, not in the least. But we never thought of these cards as collectibles. It was a game, definitely a game, and we used it as a game. We had fun, we enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. So. Green profile dude, I do struggle with wanting to post the 7 evolving skies I have. Please talk me into keeping them. Keep them. I have 5 cases right there and I have not sold them, so keep them. Evolving skies, if you got booster boxes, hold on to them. Unless you need money right now. If you need money, sell, of course. If you need money, it's a good way. Sell half of them, like I did. Great investment strategy. You sell half of them. You got 7, you need some cash, sell 3. Then you have no cost value to the ones that you probably have on the shelf, depending on what price point you picked them up on. And then they just sit there for free. I mean, you're not out. You just take the money back and you go use it on something else. I mean, I have 5 cases. They're still sitting right there, and they are not going anywhere. Literally, I can touch them. They're right there. So yeah, no, I would definitely be holding on to Evolving Skies. Evolving Skies. Next, I got a feeling next tax return season we're going to see another bump in Evolving Skies, because I honestly, let me see. Evolving Skies. What is it at in TCG Player? I haven't looked in the last couple weeks. TCG. Last time I looked, it stagnated right around that 650, 700. Evolving Skies booster box. Still 700 still. Kind of stagnated right around that 650, 700, around that $700. It kind of just stalled out. So, my Evolving Skies booster boxes are eating themselves up. Just it's slowly killing me inside, especially with that Umbreon VMAX with the price it is, right? It could be in there. That's the one factor that people need to really get out of their head. VMAX alternate art. Yeah, $1,000 for that beast right now. It's still $1,000. So yeah, no, I personally, I would just hold on to it. There's just no reason to. It's one of those sets right now that from the Sword and Shield block that is just, if you have it, sit on it and forget it. That's exactly what you should do, and just let it be. Now I'm selling Lost Origins, Brilliant Star, Astral Radiance, Fusion Strike, and I am in about 8K packs into Crowns, 8,000 packs into Crown Zenith, so I'm good. Just so much work. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's the ones that I've been kind of twisting, even like, so I keep my, so just like I've talked about on here, I purchase more than what I want to hold. So even Fusion Strike, Brilliant Stars, all those, I over purchase, and then I've been selling them on TikTok. So I purchased them at a lower price. I sat on them, and now I'm running that stock through to try and reduce the amount of money I have sitting on the shelf or in my storage unit, just because I just want to condense and always try and keep a certain amount of cash flow into my accounts. That way, if something does come up I want to jump on, I have that availability to do so. Having that liquidity and having that cash in hand a lot of times when it comes down to your business practices is fantastic. So definitely something you should be considering on that part. Lowdown Dirty 100. Welcome to the chat. What do we got here? I don't know, man. Grading anymore seems like a bust unless you hit 10s. Take the Galarian Gallery, Tina V-Star, selling raw on TCG Player for 110. Yet, most recent eBay sales on a PSA 9 is 74 to 80. You know, the thing is, though, is that's another one of those cards. There's so many people grading it currently that will happen. The question is, though, is Down Dirty 100, is I think you got to look at the long-term game. You know, even if you look at vintage cards and as things get older, if you grade that card right now and you were to get it, you know, you pull it, you grade it, you get it all done for $35, let's just say, and you hold that 9 for 5-10 years down the road, is that 9 going to depreciate in value or is it going to appreciate in value? And that's realistically the question you need to be asking is that when it comes down to the overall card itself, could it see value even in a 9 at some point in time? Something like the Tina from the Galarian Gallery Gold Tina, I definitely think could have value. A 9, do I see a 9 holding a $74 to $88 value in, you know, 10 years? No. I could see that going up as well, just depending on how well the PSA 10 performs. If the PSA 10 performs extremely well, you could definitely see that going up as well. You could also see the raw pricing start to drop below the 9. So even some of the Sun and Moon cards at this point in time, the 9 is now gaining more value than the raw card, which is good. Now, I do agree. If you're getting 8s are probably going to be a trouble area because, you know, that's just the way it's going to roll. But we are starting to see even Sun and Moons, 9s are starting to break past the value of the raw cards. And as that occurs, as time goes on, it's an aging thing. You don't have a lot of time history on that Galarian Gallery Giratina. I know it's only a year and a half, so we really don't have a lot of track record yet and how well it's going to perform. We have its initial. Overall, definitely could see some value futuristically, and 9s could start to creep up, and they could creep up past the value of the actual of the overall, or past the raw value of those particular cards. Now, 8s, 7s, 6s, it just depends. You know, sometimes if there's 1/6 population, yeah, sometimes there's some oddities like that. But definitely something that could definitely do well in the future. Trust me, Umbreon VMAX is not in there. I know. I got 5 cases. I have no... yeah, there's probably not even there. I would open all of them and get nothing. My FOMO, you're right. But older eras show profile in the PSA 9. Yep. Great point. I really like the Houndoom, and I bought a shitload of them today just because I like them. Yeah. I think there's value. Like I said, it's just gonna take time overall. Thoughts on hoarding the Pokemon? Not a bad idea. Personally, I think that there's a couple ones that I've been buying too, and I don't have them here. I thought I had them. It must be in the other pile. I've been picking up those. UK had the soccer Eevee and Pikachu promos. I don't know if anybody remembers those. Those were about 2 years ago. Them have actually been doing fairly well as well. Them are kind of interesting. I'm trying to remember what they're called. Let me look them up real quick because I just purchased a couple of them again. Eevee promo. Here it is. So there was a 2018 version of it, and then there was a newer version of it as well. Maybe it was 2018. I'm just getting old and losing track of it. So there is the Eevee. So this is the Eevee on the ball. If anybody's ever seen these. So there's the Eevee on the ball, which is... Oh, that's a... Yeah, okay, it's the same one. So iFOMO and I are talking about the exact same thing, and I didn't even realize it. So, yeah, I would definitely be hoarding those because I'm buying them right now because the price has gone down considerably on them. We're both talking about the same darn thing, and I didn't even realize it until I saw looking at what I just purchased here. So the value on these has gone down quite a bit in the last few months, which is okay. I mean, they're nowhere near their low, which was about $50. But now they're down to about $56, $57. They were up to almost $73 here at the beginning of the year. But now they've come down, and I've been purchasing... I purchased 3 of the Eevee ones, and then I just purchased a couple of the Pikachu ones as well. So Pikachu on the ball, I think it was what it was. So yeah, there was a Pikachu on the ball and an Eevee on the ball. There's 5 of them, I believe. I'm just looking to see because I think there's 5 of them because there was a Pikachu. I bought the Pikachu. I bought the Eevee. Yeah, and then there's the Scorbunny, Sobble, and the Grookey. So I think they will. I think they'll sell really, really good in 2026. I do have a bulk issue, and I know you have gotten this before, but what do you do with all of it? I'm even willing to let all the good stuff go. So much sorting. So I sort all of it. So even like right now, I mean, I've got piles right now that I got to get through from openings. So I literally have, these. So because I open and I don't send bulk, I got to go through all this. And basically I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I got 15 of those right now from the last couple weeks. I sort it all and then I list on TCG Player. So I have Binder POS. So I upload everything into Binder POS, and then that way it's got my organization software. It's $100 a month, but with me doing $700 of sales on TCG Player, it really isn't a big deal. And that way, because the problem is what I've learned is that I like Binder POS because I wasn't adjusting prices. So if the value of something went up drastically overnight because it became playable. So like the Sableye, for example, the Sableye card from Lost Origins was not doing anything. It was just completely flatline and was sitting there at like 15 cents. And you couldn't even sell at 15 cents. That was like my minimum for a holo was like 15 cents. So I had it listed at 15 cents and they didn't sell for almost a year. Well, now a Sableye deck with that card in it just won the regionals in the United States. So it just won the NICC for United States for playability. I sold all them Sableyes. Them Sableyes all sold in a matter of a day, and I had like 26 of them. Now, the nice thing was about Binder POS is that Binder POS literally did that. The sucker is sorting. Realistically, your only options for sorting is that either A, you sit there and you spend a large amount of time doing it, B, you have kids and your kids go through and sort all of it like I do. So I have slave labor that I actually get them to sort a lot of my bulk just to at least get it in the right piles. Or B, you can buy a robot system in order to be able to kind of reduce that sorting or sort them cards for you. Those are realistically your options when it comes down to it. Otherwise, basically the real option that you have is that there are people, I don't do it as much anymore where I would buy bulk. So I would give you like 2 cents, or, per 100, I'd give you, what was it? I don't remember. It was like 0.18 cents per common. I would give you 5 cents per reverse, and I would give you like 7 cents per holo. And he would just send it all to me as a brick. I would sort through it and find out, make sure there's no damage, and count it out, weigh it out, and get you to count. And then I would send you a lump sum for sending that to me. So that's another option. If you're interested in that, let me know. I can always see if it's something that I could buy some bulk too, because I have no problem having my kids sort it and doing all that. So, but yeah, I mean, that's realistically your options on that. I mean, it sucks. Bulk sucks because it's just a lot of sorting. That's exactly why 15 of them sitting around here right now is I just haven't had the time. I'm going to be 100% honest. I just haven't spent the time on the bulk side of it, and TCG's been consistently selling anyways. If my sales start to drop on TCG Player, I know I'm going to have to go through and do another sorting. I might target specific sets like Temporal Forces because they get the Buddy Buddy Puffin and things like that inside of there that are very in demand and wanted, so then it makes sense to go through and sort those particular sets. Alright guys, we're at the 1 hour marker. It always goes so fast. I FOMO or set a goal of 2 hours a day of sorting if that's your step. Yeah, I mean, typically I used to do like 2 to 3 hours a day until I got caught up. I thought I would give my son a job, but he doesn't want it. He just stands there to lose he could stand to lose a few pounds. Yeah, I mean, my son just does it because he enjoys Pokemon cards, so he likes looking through the cards. But yeah, it's a tough one, that's for sure. In general, just sorting is really, really difficult, and it takes time. It's a really long, thought-out process. So, but yeah, no, I mean, if you're interested in selling some of your bulk, I could pull open I don't even know what, I'd have to go through the pricing real quick, but I could send you, if you hit me up on Instagram or on Discord, just message me on there, and then I can let you know what scale it is right now. I'd have to look up the scale. It's been almost a year since I bought bulk from people, so I produce enough of it on TikTok that it's here. So it's a good little side income after the TikTok sales. So, but all right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me back here. We will be here on Tuesday nights. I probably going to be later at night, just like this, 9:30. I know I would like to be earlier, but because I like to stay in line with my wife. But the problem is I just don't get home until they're late. So summertime, I'm out until almost dark. So from now on, it's probably going to be between this 9:30 mark. But I am going to be on here every week again. I want to get back into every week being here on Tuesday night. We will be having Poke Chef on here next Tuesday. So next Tuesday he'll be joining us for the for the Tuesday Night Live. So we'll be having a good discussion with him about what he does. FOMO, maybe I'll set you up for the next Tuesday, or maybe we'll do next week, whatever works for you. I'll get a hold of you on Instagram, and we'll set that up with you as well, so we can have some fun with a couple lives, having some people on here. I know the other person that I was hoping to be on the live today is Mason as well. Mason wanted to come on as well, and we're going to sit down and talk about the markets and what's happening in Pokeville with him, with the LCS fronts. So overall, like I said, thank you guys. Bring the moths next time. Yeah, the moths can stay at home, so they can stay away. Otherwise, thank you guys. Thank you everybody for joining. As always, greatly appreciated to have you here this evening. If you do want to support the channel, a great way to do it is buying that merch, of course. A great opportunity to have some fun, have a fun little t-shirt, and of course, supports the channel a little bit. Also, there is the channel memberships. I do throw them out there as well. If you'd like to support the channel, it's another great way to support channels with the memberships. Other than that, guys, thank you everybody for joining. As always, greatly appreciated to see you guys here this evening. And we will, of course, see you next week. We will be back again here at around 9:30. Other than that, we will see you next time here on Northwoods TCG. Thank you so much. Oh, hold on. I'm not going to leave yet. Thank you so much, Green Nameless Person. Thank you so much. Peace out. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for the membership. Greatly appreciated. And we'll see you on our next live next Tuesday.